How much stock should I give my team? The advanced plan for startup CEOs. Wouldn't it be great if someone shared a plan to divide your startup stock that actually makes sense? Well, you're in luck because I'm going to give you a step-by-step plan you can implement to divide your equity from your co-founders all the way to your early employees. But I'm not just going to give you the surface level advice. I'll also share the advanced insights that most startup CEOs only learn the hard way. From vesting traps, to refresh grants, to why that expensive 409A valuation you've been told to get might be completely useless. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell and get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started, and let's start with step number 1 on our list. Step 1, start with the founders. I'm going to work top down today. You have to figure out what the right equity split is between you and your co-founders. Let's deal with the don'ts first. You don't want to have a huge variance between you and your co-founders. Something like 90% for you and 10% for your co-founder is a red flag for everybody involved. You also don't want to have a 50-50 split between you and your co-founder, or a 33% split if you have 2 co-founders. This doesn't work because it doesn't represent the differences in your responsibilities and value to the company. Finally, trying to keep your ownership above 50% is meaningless. It won't give you the control of the company you think. Just ask Travis Kalanick. Now, let's go through what you should do. First, the division of equity should be balanced. For example, a 60-40 split between you and your co-founder is reasonable. Second, the result of your discussions with your co-founders should be you and your co-founders feel the equity division is fair for both sides. Third, you need to have a reversed vesting schedule for your equity with a 4-year vesting period and a 1-year cliff. The 1-year cliff means that you and your co-founders vest nothing until the 1-year mark when you vest 1/4 of your equity. Fourth, have a 1-person board of directors structure with only you on the board. Boards are useless at the beginning of your startup. This will save you lots of problems with your co-founders. Next, let's move to step 2 on the list. Step number 2, treat founder investments differently. A huge mistake that too many founders make is they treat an investment a founder makes the same way as their equity division. This makes no sense. Let's say you're the CEO and you have a CTO co-founder. You agree on a 60-40 split of the equity between the two of you. You both invest $100,000 to get the company off the ground. You keep your equity split as 60-40. This is wrong because why should your $100,000 be worth more ownership than your CTO's $100,000? The right way to do this is treat the investments as an investment. Let's say you decide the $200,000 investment is worth 15% ownership in the company. Then, you and your co-founder each own 7.5% of the company based on this investment. Also, this ownership should be in preferred stock that is 100% vested. Now, this means that you and your co-founder will divide up the remaining 85% of the company on that 60-40 split. So, the final ownership split is this. You have 7% plus 85% times 60%, which equals 58.5%. Your co-founder has 7.5% plus 85% times 40%, which will equal 41.5%. Now, let's move to step number 3 on our list. Step number 3, Create your initial option pool. Now we're into stock options, which are different than the equity that you and your co-founders received. Just as the name implied, a stock option is an option to buy stock. You first have to figure out how big your initial stock option pool will be. I recommend you figure out how many option grants you'll need for the next 2 years. The way you should do this is develop a hiring plan by role for the next 2 years. Then allocate stock for each role. Your investors are going to demand you create an option pool, so have a pretty good idea of what you want and why you want it. The worst thing that can happen is you have to go back to your investors and ask to increase the option pool early, and you'll lose credibility when you do it. So a pro tip is creating a small buffer of extra stock if you can. Now, let's move to step number 4 on our list. Step number 4, set option benchmarks by role. To figure out how big your option pool needs to be, you'll have to divide the stock options by role. So here's a table for each role in an early stage startup that you'll likely have. VP level, 1% to 2%. Director level, 0.5% to 0.8%. Manager, 0.3 to 0.5%. Senior individual contributor, 0.5 to 0.8%. Individual contributor, 0.3% to 0.5%. Entry level, 0.1% to 0.3%. You want to be consistent. You'll get in trouble if there are wide variations of what you give for the same role. And remember, these are just guidelines. You need to track the market. Also, the amounts will reduce as your company matures. Now let's move to step number 5 on our list. Step number 5, make sure you understand the different types of stock. You need to understand the difference between the types of stock options to issue and who you will issue them to. The first type is incentive stock options, or ISOs. This is the type of stock option you'll be issuing to employees. It's beneficial because the profits, when sold, are treated as capital gains. The next type of option you'll issue are non-qualified stock options, or NSOs. This is typically what you'll grant to contractors, advisors, and your board members. NSOs are treated as ordinary income. Finally, you may grant restricted stock to some advisors, especially in the early stages of your startup. Just like your equity, the restricted stock grant will vest over time. The benefit for the advisor is it is equity, not stock, so there is no strike price. Now let's move to the next step, number 6 on our list. Number 6, stick up for your employees. I was on the board of a startup. In our first post-funding board meeting, we had a discussion about how we should set the exercise price and the exercise window when an employee leaves the company. The lead investor, Mark, said, we should set the strike price for the options as high as possible. Then, most employees will not want to exercise their stock when they leave the company. How nice. I had a different idea. I said, you're right. However, I believe we should set the strike price as low as possible. Then they'll be ambassadors for the company instead of pissing them off. The percentage change will be small. The rest of the board agreed with my idea. In addition, you can also extend the exercise window to exercise stock options from the standard 90 days to 12 months or even 24 months. Now let's move to step number 7 on our list. Step number 7, plan to refresh your employee stock. One of the smartest things you can do to keep your employees around is refreshing their stock grants, so they always have 4 years of stock options ahead of them. It makes it very hard to leave when you are potentially walking away from lots of money. I saw this play out as an employee at Maxim Integrated Products, where an employee typically stayed for 10 years. Then at Maxim's direct competitor, Micrel, employees typically only stayed for 4 years because Micrel didn't refresh employee stock options. The right way to refresh an employee is as if you are rehiring them. For example, let's say you gave a manager an initial grant of 0.4%. Now it's 2 years later, and the marketplace for a manager at your company stage is 0.2%. So you give them a new grant of 0.1% vesting over 2 years. Now the investor shares look like 0.1%, 0.1%, 0.05%, and 0.05%. Now let's move to step number 8 on our list. Step number 8. 409As are not what you think. 409As are a tool used to determine the value of your company for tax purposes. And it's the only tool you can legally use to value your company to determine the strike price of your stock options. The problem is that 409As can be wildly inaccurate, and they can leave your employees potentially exposed to a tax liability if your company is audited by the IRS. The risk grows as your company grows. You want a company that has ideally done 409As in your sector and has worked with the Big Four accounting firms, which means their work is defensible. Finally, your 409A will not have any influence on what investors will value your company at. Next, let's move to the last one on my list. Step number 9 on my list. Step number 9, get your board's approval. This should be obvious, but during the closed session of your board meetings, have your board approve every stock option grant. The simple way to do this is list out the names of the employee, their title, the option range for the position, and the grant amount. This gives your board a clear view of what they are approving. Then, to earn bonus points, you should show your cap table, including how much of your option pool remains unassigned. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. You're going to want to hire a lawyer to keep you from screwing up. As you can see, there's lots of complicated bits to stock options and equity grants. Really, the smart way to do this is hiring a lawyer with startup experience to help you. An experienced lawyer can help you navigate the complexities of stock options, draft the necessary legal documents, and ensure your plan meets both SEC regulations and your industry's best practices. It's worth the money spent. Now, I have 2 more things for you today. First, my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below to get yours for free. Second, join my free group of startup CEOs, Zero to Pitch. It's a community for startup CEOs focused on growing their companies and raising funding for their companies. Click the link below to join. Finally, click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care.